Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And today we're going to be talking about Brandon Miller, the small forward freshman coming out of Alabama, entering the 2023 NBA draft. He stands at 6'9", 201 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan. There's a big time debate of who should go second overall to the Charlotte Hornets. Should it be Brandon Miller or should it be the point guard from G League Ignite, Scoot Henderson? So I think that's a very good debate. I honestly think Scoot Henderson is the number two prospect in this draft. He brings that it factor. I love his athleticism, his ability to work downhill. He's a very good playmaker. Obviously, what's his upside as an outside shooter? Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson, totally different positions, point guard, shoot, and small forward. You could say Brandon Miller could also play that four because some people are questioning his explosiveness that we're going to be getting into. Like, does he have that big time burst? So there's different fits obviously with a LaMelo Ball when it comes to Charlotte, but I think the latest that Brandon Miller goes is fourth overall to the Houston Rockets. And if he goes fourth overall to the Rockets have gotten an absolute gem because I think Brandon Miller has one of the highest floors in this draft. I don't think he has a crazy upside. I know he's getting a lot of comparisons to Paul George. I don't see it from an explosiveness standpoint when it comes to having that big time burst, but he does have a big time vertical when it comes to when he gets at the basket. He can rise above and throw down a big time poster, as I put on the screen right here. He is a very solid quick first step, just not a crazy burst. Sometimes when there's these strong, thicker dudes, when he's going up against them, or these very elite on-ball defenders, if it's in college or even projectedly at the next level, he doesn't have the crazy combo crosses or just a complex arsenal of moves to really size up in his bag and really beat someone off the dribble consistently when it comes to these elite on-ball defenders. Sometimes he could press too much, try to do too much, and he doesn't have that crazy physicality or strength yet. Even though I think he's a pretty strong dude and he has that it factor and he plays with a very high motor, sometimes he can catch himself in these weird situations that he's off balance and just tries throwing up a shot. I'll put some examples on the screen. But because he doesn't have this crazy burst, he's a good vertical at the rim. He's a good athlete, not a fantastic athlete. A lot of his success, or as his ceiling goes as high as his skills go. When it comes to finishing at the basket, he has the floater. He has a very good touch, 85% from the free throw line, gets there 4 times per game. He shoots it at a 38% clip from beyond the arc on 7 attempts, and he kind of fell off a little towards the end of the season when it came to his three-point shot. He started off shooting amazing, but 38 is still a very good percentage. He definitely does have the touch, but I want to see him try to get hold of like Kyrie's trainer or something, really have that very good English around the rim and just try to get even better as a finisher because he's not always going to have that crazy burst, or he's a good athlete. He can rise above, but he's not like a Zach LaVine type of athlete. He's a solid vertical athlete, but not fantastic, if you know what I mean there. So I'm really interested to see how his bag really continues because he's gotten to this point because of his skills. And I know you could say that's with every prospect, but for example, there's some players that enter the draft based purely off of athleticism and a high upside and just flashes of potential, while Brandon Miller has given you good production at the college level. He's given you 18 points per game, 38% from 3, a steal, a block, what he's able to bring on the defense side of the basketball. He's a decent passer, not a fantastic passer. That's still a hole in his game that he needs to clean up on a consistent basis because he averages more turnovers than also assists when it comes to his overall game. But there's some guys that enter the draft that it's just like all potential, but it's also purely based off of the position as well, or sometimes it's based off of position. Like Greg Brown, you look at these workouts. Oh, he looks great at workouts. It looks like he's the potential to shoot the 3 ball, potential to put the ball on the floor, but we haven't seen it yet. Derek Lively, 5 points per game, got better towards the end of the season. We see him shoot it very well in the workouts, but what is his 3 ball really going to be at the next level? So that's an example there. I'm not saying those guys can't be good NBA players, but when you watch Brandon Miller, he's a good athlete, not a fantastic athlete, but he knows how to get to his spots. And when you see his 3-point shot, the next step of his game is really breaking guys down off the dribble outside on the perimeter, getting into a certain bag of moves. He has shown that he can have a crossover, but most of it right now is catch and shoot, relocating, coming off of screens, and he does have a pure looking jumper. It's kind of a set shot, kind of low, so maybe that is affecting him sometimes dribbling and rising up against pressure, but in catch and shoot situations, he can rise against pressure because because of the 7-foot wingspan, because he is 6'9", but he's a very fluid looking jumper, and it looks like he can get it off up against a lot of different types of personnel. But that's definitely one of his best traits. He could shoot the three ball very well, and you need that at the next level if you want to be successful. And so I want to see the consistency. I'm excited to see how his skills really raise to the next level when it comes to his bag off the dribble, shooting threes off the dribble. But he has shown glimpses, especially when it comes to mid-range territory, maybe using a little bit of a crossover, putting the ball on the floor, rising up to a fadeaway jumper or a fall-away jumper. So we have seen that in his bag as well. But like I mentioned, he has the ability to rise over guys. He's a very, like, he has wow plays, but then he also has plays I'm like, wait, like, I don't understand it. He didn't rise enough like I thought he was going to. So sometimes I'm like, I feel like he's kind of inconsistent, but his athleticism definitely brings to the table when it comes to chase down blocks on defense. You know, being at the rim, he only averages 2 fouls per game. He's pretty disciplined. He knows how to put his hands straight up and play solid defense, and he could really do a good job closing out, utilizing that wingspan. If he's a little late, the wingspan could help him out in that department, clogging lanes, really closing those gaps when it comes to those entry passes and jumping the passing lane and throwing it down to transition. He definitely is a better transition athlete than a consistent half-court athlete. Again, we have seen plays, but not consistent plays in the half-court of making some amazing athleticism plays. Again, he's made some wow plays, but it's not like a Zion that you're just constantly throwing lobs up there and he's like some generational type of athlete. Again, because I'm not trying to hate, I'm just trying to be completely real with you guys, but he is a good athlete in transition. Those threes I mentioned, he could take threes in transition, but sometimes his feet could be a little choppy. His footwork when it comes to his three-point shot, how is that going to be at the next level? The consistent mid-range, like I mentioned, the floater, and he has shown that he does go to the basket very strong, but sometimes you want to see him consistently and more control, if you know what I mean. But when it comes to passing, I do think he has the ability to be a solid passer at the next level. And it's going to be a work in progress, though, because sometimes he has turnovers that it's like wrong spot, wrong time. Is it the playbook there? Just miscommunication. That could have been an assist, but he moved out of the corner. The ball goes out of bounds. But he could find guys cutting. Sometimes he fits balls in very tight windows, cut to the basket, or he could just make the basic play. Just pitch and kick, get the defense to collapse and kick it outside of the perimeter. So he's a decent passer, not a fantastic passer. That's definitely not a strong part of his game, but he definitely has that dog mentality. He's going to be a score-first player at the next level. He averages 18 points per game. You don't do that by accident. When it comes to playing college basketball, that's extremely impressive, especially at a 38% clip from beyond the arc. But getting back in the defensive side of things, like I mentioned, how is he going to handle that pressure on offense, though, when he's handling the basketball and there's those elite on-ball defenders? His handle's good, but it's not elite. He has solid crossovers, not elite crossovers, if you know what I mean. But on defense, yeah, sometimes he might get beat backdoor by someone that's way more athletic than him, like a Matisse Thybulle. He's a raw offensive player, but we know he's a good cutter without the ball. Terrence Ross is up there in age, but he can still cut without the basketball. Jeff Green can still cut. Obviously, Zach LaVine, not crazy young, but he's like he's in his prime, you could say. He's a good mover without the basketball. We know he's one of the best athletes in the game. So sometimes he could struggle, and I don't think he'll get beat based off of just laziness. I think it's just because that dude's a way better athlete. But when it comes to strength and physicality, some guys might bully him a little bit and just get to the basket, but Brandon Miller's going to look to try to get up in their jersey as an on-ball defender because he is a competitor. We saw that in the South Carolina game when it went to overtime, 41 points. He found creases in the defense. He looked to his hack. And I'm not saying he's a Luka level IQ player, but if he wants to reach that full potential, his skills of his crossover need to get even better. I think they're solid, needs to get even better. And when you're a good athlete, not a fantastic athlete, you got to be able to find those creases and figure out angles like a Luka Doncic does. Luka obviously is a different body type. He's kind of a thicker dude, not a crazy, wiry guy. He's 6'8", but kind of a thicker player. Luka, I'm not saying he's out of shape. Same thing with the Jokic. I don't say those guys are out of shape. They're in NBA shape. They just have very interesting physiques. But Brandon Miller right now, he has shown flashes of shooting shots like when it comes to crossovers, not consistently. It's not consistent when it comes to crossovers. But right away, he's going to be able to catch and shoot in transition in the half court, come off the screens, relocating. He's going to be in the position to be successful. Wherever he goes, that three ball is going to be there. Who knows what kind of offense he's going to go to, though, is that how consistent is he going to take mid-range shots? Those shots are going to be there at the next level. He has the floater. I do believe he's going to attack strong, but there's times it's just like, all right, maybe you should have finished with your left hand in that situation. But defensively, I think he's going to be pretty damn solid. How's his passing going to be at the next level? But I'm really interested in Brandon Miller. You take a look at his stats his freshman year. He's 20 years old. He averaged 18.8 points per game, so nearly 19 points per game. 2 fouls. He was pretty disciplined. 2 turnovers, 1 block, 1 steal, 2 assists per game, 8.2 rebounds. I think his rebounding is extremely underrated. I'm going to get into that right after I read off of this. But 6 defensive rebounds and 2 offensive rebounds per game. That's impressive. That shows that he really fights. 86% from the free throw line, 85.9 to be specific, getting there 4.6 times per game and making 3.9 of them. That is excellent. 38% from 3, attempting 7 threes per game, making 3 of them. And then you take a look at overall, he attempts 14 shots per game, attempts 7. So he really does rely on that 3 ball. So I guess his next step is really impacting inside and becoming more consistent as a finisher and just attacking maybe more. I'm not saying he's a terrible finisher. I think he's decent, but that's not the best part of his game. It is improved towards the end of the season. But yeah, he shot 38% from 3, but 43% from the overall field. Like I mentioned, 14 shots per game, 32 minutes per game. So I want to see what his ceiling ends up being as a finisher. When someone's 20 years old, you don't want to put a ceiling on a player. I do feel like he has this tough mentality that no shot is a bad shot to him. He struggled in the tournament kind of due to that. But sometimes you want to see him rein in his shot selection and make better decisions with the basketball. But 8 rebounds per game, that does not happen by accident. You see, when he shoots a shot, sometimes it's like he follows his shot too early, but I like that he follows his shot. He hustles, he wants to go get the basketball. And off of his teammates' misses, he looks to get an offensive rebound and a potential putback. And he looks to really grab the rebound. He wants the basketball. He is a ball magnet. Everything you're taught as a kid, go command the basketball. When someone's passing the basketball to you, don't stand in your spot. Like, step towards the ball. That's what Brandon Miller brings to the table. But he had a successful freshman year. I'm really interested to see where he's going to be drafted. I'd like to see him get drafted to Charlotte, but I do think Scoot Henderson is going to end up being drafted to Charlotte. But in Charlotte, the transition threes he brings to the table, the defense, I like his length. On defense, solid defensive player. And you have LaMelo there, so you're not asking him to be a fantastic passer, but with his shooting, with his defense, with his dog mentality, I think he'd be a pretty good fit no matter what in any situation. Let me know down below your thoughts on Brandon Miller, and peace out, y'all.